to think of multiplication is the area of the rectangle formed by the two values. And so way back when, grade 3-ish, I think, when you start learning multiplication, you learn about groups of numbers. So if you have 3 groups of 2, what does it mean? And that's what you're really doing, is forming areas of rectangles. You probably just didn't know it. So this has 3 units across the top, 2 units down the side. And if we count the number of squares, how many squares do we have? 6. And that's why 3 times 2 is 6. Or we can switch them. We can have 2 along the top and 3 down the side. Doesn't matter which way you go. How many squares make up the second rectangle? 6. So we're going to do the same thing even with this variable. So we're going to multiply 2 times 3x. And what we're going to use is this little grid pattern here. So I'm just going to flip to my smartboard. And what I'm going to do is take the 2, which is our first term, and I'm going to put it along the top. So I'm going to grab 2 little colored squares. You can do the same. And I'm just going to line them across the top. So you can either use the grid that's on your paper, or if you want to do it on scrap paper, that's up to you. But either on the paper or just write that grid on your scrap paper, put 2 little cubes across the top. The other one's going to go along the side, so I actually don't think you have room on your paper. Let's switch these. Let's put these on the side so that you can fit it on your paper there. And let's put the 3 bars across the top. So I have my 3x along the top, my 2 on the side, and all I need to do is fill in this area. So don't do this, just watch up here. But if I take a big square, is that going to fit in these little dimensions? No. No. If I take a bunch of little ones, is that going to fit in this dimension? No. What's the only thing that's going to fit in this space right here? It has to be a bar. So grab a bar and put it right there. That's the only thing that's going to match those 2 little dimensions. What's going to go underneath it? Another bar is the only thing that's going to fit in there. What about the rest of the space? What's the only things that are going to fit? Is more bars. So let's complete our rectangle with as many bars as we need. I think you have enough bars, question mark? Yeah, we do. I think somebody said you had 14 yesterday. And it's the area in this section which we filled in which makes the answer. So all we need to do is now count. How many bars do I have? 6x. So now I know that 2 times 3x gives me 6x. That's it. That's how it works with tiles. Where's my thing here? Let's just draw them out now. So I'm going to put my 2 little guys down here. Are they white or are they colored? Again, just remember I do shading just with little cross hatches because it's easier and it's not as messy. And my 3 bars is going to go along the top. And then the only way I can fill in that area is by using bars. And the bars that we used, are they colored or are they white? And how do we know? How do we know? Because we have a positive times a positive has to be a positive. And so the answer comes from this section of the grid right there, so the part that we filled in, and we just count. 2 times 3x is 6x. Again, we're just starting with the tiles because it's something you can see, it's something you can touch, so tactile people like playing with them. If you don't like them, who cares? We're going to do it without the tiles tomorrow. Method number 1, draw the grid. Draw the grid. Step number 2, draw one term along the top. Not at all. And the other term along the side. Draw one term along the top and the other term along the side. We'll get to that a little bit later. We're just doing monomial times monomial. Good question, though. Fill in the bottom lower right corner. If I say bottom right, does that make sense? Bottom right corner. Fill in the big space. With tiles. Decide the color by using integer rules. A positive times a positive is positive. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times positive is. So if the colors are the same, so the top and the side are the same, it's going to be colored. If they're opposite or different, and what color is negatives? White. Questions so far? So all we're doing is just filling an area. 3x times negative 2x. Step number 1, draw the grid. If you don't have a ruler, use the side of your calculator, use the side of a pencil, use the side of a piece of paper, but don't give me nasty, snarly, jaggly lines. Let's put the first term along the top, so that's going to be our 3x. Tell me, what kind of tiles do we need to lay out? Colored rectangles. And you notice on the top we put them sideways so that they fit better. The side is going to be negative 2x, so tell me what we need to put out. How many of them? Here's a white rectangle. And notice we put them lengthwise so that they fit better. And now we just get to fill in. If I put a bar, is that going to fit in this space right here? If I put a little cube, is that going to fit here? What's the only thing that's going to fit? Is the big square. Now you just need to decide, is it colored or is it white? If these are opposite sign, it's going to be white. So there's going to be a big white square here. What's going to go beside it? Beside it? Do you have enough big white squares? Do you have 6 of them? I think somebody said we had 8. I can't remember. Do you see how the only thing that's going to fit in there is white squares? The little guys aren't going to fit. The bars aren't going to fit. It's only the big squares that are going to fit. Okay, so if you were doing that with actual tiles, just draw it out now on your paper. Let's just repeat, why did I make them white and not colored? Difference or white or negative times a positive is a negative. And now we just count that bottom corner. What do I have there? We do indeed have negative 6x squared. So a 3x times a negative 2x is negative 6x squared. Notice what happened to the exponent there. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Show me your thumb so far. Getting it, kind of getting it, not getting it. Put it really high so I can see. Awesome. I'm going to do this one without the tiles. I'm just going to draw it. Oh, my line went smudgy. Left brains understand why that upsets me. 2x along the top or along the side. It doesn't matter where you put it. I'll put it along the top. So I'm going to have 2 bars, colored or white bars. That was a very loud apple core. And now we're mixing it up because now we have a binomial for the bottom. Doesn't matter. It's going to be the same. I need x plus 2, so I'm going to have a bar for the x. How am I going to do plus 2? 2 little squares. I always like to switch colors to fill in my answer. I don't know why, I just think in color. What's going to fit here in this top corner here? Got to be a big square, colored or white. How do we know? Or they're the same color, so it's going to be positive. Fitting beside it. Underneath it, I can't put another big square because I have these little guys here. What's the only thing that's going to fit underneath that square? So a bar is going to fit, and a bar is going to fit, colored or white. And the only thing that's going to fit over here is 2 more little bars, colored or white. I feel like I'm just having a conversation with Nick. The rest of you aren't even here. Count it up. What do we have? I have 2 big squares. What do we call that? And if I have 4 colored bars, what do we call it? Questions so far? I have no idea who that was. Who was that? No, the singer. Draw along the top and side. Just wait to fill in the answer. So figure out what you're going to put on the top, what you're going to put on the side. Somewhere, either the top or side, because the order doesn't matter, you should have 1 white bar. Wherever you didn't put that, you should now have a colored bar and 1 little square. And again, doesn't matter what you have on the top and what you have on the side. Go ahead and fill it in and write down your answer. Turn to someone in front, behind, or beside you and tell them, why did I draw these both white? I taught a Kevin Johnson. No, didn't teach him. Why did I draw them white? Because these are opposite signs, so this has to be opposite. What do I call 1 big white square? Negative x squared. And what do I call 1 white bar? Again, tomorrow I'll show you how to go right from the question to the answer without having to do the tiles. But for now, we will love the tiles because the government says we have to love the tiles. Well, we voted them in, so it's our fault. Yeah, we voted them in, so. Your elected representative did. Called your parents. This is the last we're going to do is binomial times binomial. So we're going to put 1 binomial on the top, 1 along the side. So how do I draw x plus 1? Okay, so it works no differently just because they're binomials. We still wrote one along the top, one along the side. Go ahead and draw in the answer section.
This one, can we times that?
Maybe. Maybe.
That's a bit cruel.
Oh, no, no. In fact, my grade 11s killed 16 puppies yesterday, 16 kittens yesterday on their quizzes. We're going to talk about it today. I am too, but yeah, puppy killing comes in more in grade 12. There was a lot of puppies that died last year. Someone who's going to watch my video and has no idea what we're talking about is going to think that's very odd. What's going to go here? Why colored? What's going to go right here? What's going to go in this little tiny space right here? Why white? Because a positive times a negative, so opposite color is going to give us white. What do we get to do now when we add it up? Well, what did we talk about before when I have a colored bar and a white bar? What do we get to do? Okay, so I've got one colored square, which is going to give me an x squared. I have one white bar, which is going to be minus x. And I have two little squares, minus 2. Thumbs, get it? Kind of get it? Don't get it. Awesome. That's all I got for you today, which gives you lots of time to work on the homework, which means you'll finish it in class.